Musos does not exist without you guys. Let me choose my words carefully. They don't listen to us. Just like I said a minute ago, they see us in wheelchairs or canes, and we're not taken seriously. But it's when you guys tell them, and by them I mean everybody else that's not in this room, when you say, hey guys, there's this guitar player that has a band that's called the Mendenhall Experiment. You need to check this out.
About to be in some trouble, yo.
Right.
Shameless.
All right.
Yeah.
If you're recording that, I want a copy of what just happened.
Hey, Springfield. I am on the scene here at Darren Williams' recording studio.
Hello, how are you guys?
Yes. So, Darren, this is our third interview with you.
Is that a record?
Yeah, I think
Yes!
so. Yes. So, you just got back from something pretty cool, and you've been to this before. What is this called? NAMM?
It is a NAMM show, so most of your viewers are musicians or venues or fans, really. Everybody that's a musician knows the NAMM show. This, I don't want to say it was a last minute call. Let me get how I got this call, because I didn't realize I was going until maybe a month or two out. Dom Famularo. So if you're a drummer, you know that name. He is one of the co-founders of an organization that I sit on the board of called Can Do Musos, which is geared around disabled musicianship and trying to push disabled musicians towards the forefront of just music in general, just giving disabled folks disabled musicians a chance. He passed away late last year, and this was their 10th anniversary. And so I got a call from another one of the board members. One of the other co-founders said, "We need you out here. We're going to do a introduction of the board members that people have not met. We're going to talk a little bit about Dom, celebrate the 10-year anniversary of it, and we want you to come and speak on the panel and tell everybody about what you do, how you do it, and things like that." And so if your viewers go back and watch our first interview, that is, if I'm not mistaken, when I went to Indiana to speak on a panel for PASIC. And that was a bucket list item. Speaking at NAMM, I didn't even realize was a bucket list item until I was doing it, and that was one of those, that was probably one of the coolest moments in my career. There's more that happened on that trip outside of NAMM, but to say, most musicians that I know, friends around here that play, only dream of going to the NAMM show just to be in the crowd, just to be a fly on the wall. You know what I mean?
So explain what NAMM is. What is that?
NAMM is the National Association of Music Merchants. So for those who don't know, NAMM is where really all of the drum educators in the world, drum makers in the world, manufacturers, drum stores like Sweetwater Music and the Drum Center of Portsmouth and Guitar Center, we all converge on Anaheim to see all of the new music equipment that's coming out, all the new video equipment, lighting equipment, software, new teaching practices, master classes on recording, drums, guitar, literally anything that has to do with being on stage or being at the studio happens at NAMM. And it's everybody from your first timer that's a kid that's just going to check it out to rock stars that, if you're me, you almost run over on accident, but we're not going to talk about that. But no, NAMM is for those that don't know, that's really, in a nutshell, the biggest music convention in the world that really involves everything.
Big networking opportunity.
Yeah, big networking opportunity. A very big opportunity to see what manufacturers are putting out for that year. It operates as a trade show as well. And so a lot of musicians will see all the new guitars that come out that year, new drums, new cymbals, new technology and drum heads, microphones, video cameras, and different things like that. And so just your one-stop, it's almost like New Year's for musicians. The year starts at NAMM and ends the day before NAMM.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did it feel being there? And this is your second
This is
time?
my second time.
Yeah. So the first time versus your second time.
So if you go to NAMM's Chaos, you think of your favorite music festival you've ever thought that you've ever been to, locally, let's say, and then multiply that times 100. It is the Anaheim Convention Center is huge. It is wall to wall people. It is wall to wall merchants and music instruments and people trying to sell their product, big and small. It is the most enjoyable chaos you can ever enjoy. Concerts and going on all in every corner of the place, and demos from rock. For instance, perfect example. When I'm in that place, I'm wheeling around my wheelchair. Pause. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm a disabled drummer with cerebral palsy, and continue. And so I am, ripping and running through that place with my wheelchair, and you never know. So first time, we'll say, just turned a corner. I was actually looking for coffee and ran into Jonathan Moffett, who is Michael Jackson's drummer.
Oh my God.
I went outside to go grab a bite to eat this last time, and just randomly saw Stevie Wonder singing on the main stage outside. And that's NAMM in a nutshell. You never know quite what you're going to see and quite who you're going to run into. That next night, ran into him again with him singing in a hotel.
Oh my God.
And, it's just, NAMM is kind of a dream space for a musician just to be at. But to put on my resume that I spoke there on a panel is a blessing and an honor. And to be very honest with you, I can't say that I would have even had that opportunity if it wasn't for the support I've had in Springfield. From playing in the different bands I've played in over the years to everybody buying my merch and supporting the videos. And that's how my name got to the right people to then get my name to even more right people to give me those opportunities. And so that's how we got there. And that's what happened at NAMM show night 1, night 2. So anybody that knows me knows that my drums are DW drums, and I had the honor and pleasure to go to the DW factory and see some stuff that I don't know if it's been released, so I can't talk about just yet. See things that were being released that day. Saw the Super Bowl drum set before the Super Bowl. Actually, I saw the Super Bowl drum set before the artist saw his own drum set.
Wow.
And it's just really cool because then, you have a bit of a relationship with the guys at DW, which has always been a dream to play their drums, and to then go and meet the guys that are making it, see the process in which they're making it. And I can really say after that visit, I left with 2 good friends that work at DW, 3 if we're including the person that had me come in and do a personal demo of one of their new drum sets, the DW electric drum set, which as far as I know, I am the only artist in the world to get called into DW that's not on the artist roster to be able to tour and use that drum set and get a personal demo of it.
Whoa.
From what I recall them saying. Now they got artists on the roster that come in and do video demos and stuff like that, but to have been called in to get a personal tour of the facility and then called in to get a playing demo and a run through of the software they just debuted this year, the drums they just debuted this year, that was an honor. But even then, for me, it's more about the relationships that I built, and you know me very well. Is all of this is great, but for me, it's about the relationships with my fellow musicians in town, my fellow musicians around the country and the world now, the manufacturers and master craftsmen that I know that make these drums and cymbals that I play to help me make my own sound and things like that. And so, that was just a super, super cool trip. And a busy one if you couldn't tell. Sleep was hard to come by that weekend.
Yeah. So going back to the question, what was different between this one and your last one? Just
This
the feel of it.
the
Any
the
difference?
feel of it was, last time I was just there as a spectator. This time it was, so to go as a spectator the last time I went, and to go as an artist and a speaker, it's almost like a different resolve, if you will, or level of respect, or level of reverence, because I realized going in there that not hardly anybody, it seems like, gets the opportunity to go and perform at NAMM or speak at NAMM, let alone, just go to the convention. But to go there and actually speak, it's a different level of pride and honor, because I do know around the world, not just around Springfield, around the world, people don't get that opportunity.
Right.
And so this time I really looked at it as a business trip more than a leisure trip. Last time it was, hey, come and experience NAMM and come and look at what all the manufacturers are putting out. This time it was, come there, make sure I'm ready to go. It was all about being an artist, all about being a speaker, and really being business minded and network minded. And let's go there, let's do business as usual. And when you're going to a place like that, you know that you got a lot on the line, because if you present yourself right, that can make or break you. You know what I mean? And so I went in this time. I don't want to say I wasn't looking forward to having fun, but I went in more business minded of, I got business to handle, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Well, that's really cool. So what is some of your most memorable moments?
At NAMM? Well, speaking, okay, so my most memorable moment at the NAMM show. So there was a video that Dan Dawes, the owner of Dawes Drums, a good friend of mine now, took, and he was sitting on the front row. And during the panel, they went one by one and had us, speak about ourselves, introduce ourselves, speak about what we do. And if anybody knows me, they know I love to talk. Don't give me a microphone in time, because I will not shut up. And so they got to me, I said my spiel, and they moved on to the next person. And it's just, in my mind, I said, you know what, there's a lot more that I want to say, and a lot more I feel like I need to say. And I'm going to kind of talk out of turn here. And there's a moment that's in front of me. I'm going to take that moment, and whatever it turns into, it turns into. And if you go back and watch that video, I literally stood up. And if you ask me today what all I said, I cannot remember. I said there's bits and pieces of it that I remember, because that's some of the stuff I talk about in my drum clinics. And there's parts of that I speak about in a 3-part series that's being released right now with the Percussive Art Society. So there's snippets in there that I remember, but that's kind of a moment of, okay, this is just the right place and the right time to say what my convictions are telling me to say. And it was surrounded around the difference between normal and weird. The fact that none of us are really any different from the other, and whoever the guy was that defined normal was probably a very weird individual, and that we all need to support each other in music and in creativity, which, there is a bigger message there, because if we're talking about artist to artist, like for instance, I'm in the middle of making an album right now, and that album is all supported around the guys that have supported me throughout all of these years. Now that my name is getting somewhat bigger, saying, okay, now you guys come help me write these songs, so that way I can get this on a national level and everybody sees your talent. There's that, and the fact that as a bigger entity, we all need to support each other. For instance, just as you know, as an artist, we are nothing without venues. And venues
Absolutely.
are typically nothing without the artist. We need to support the venues. as well as the venues need to support us, you know, and again, broad spectrum things that people daily may not think about, but if you slow down for a second and think about it, like, you know, I'm really nothing without my comrade at arms. You know, I'm nothing. You know, I mean, I've played for the Kidders, played for the Midwest Travelers, I've played for the Final Piece, and I've done spots for all types of other people. I would be nowhere without Lindbergh's, without Nathan P. Murphy's, without the Ballroom, and multiple other places I've played over the last 20 years that I've been here. My goodness. But yeah, over the last 20 years, you know, without their support, nobody in town would know who I am, you know, and I wouldn't know who these venues are. And, you know, we have helped each other. I've seen some of these venues become big. And it's funny where when we don't support each other, I see some of those venues fall away and disappear. And so,
Was there any talk at the convention about, you know, what venues could do to bring in people?
you know, so with that convention, there's so much going on that those conversations typically happen like this on a one-to-one basis. It's not, from what I know venue-wise, I don't recall there being a lot of workshops, but I wasn't looking for it either. But
Right.
what I can tell you is every night when the showroom floor closes, a lot of us go to industry parties or go to the concerts that happen in the lobby of, let's say, the Hilton. So the Hilton is where I was frequenting a lot. And the amount of conversations I had this last time with not only studio owners, but other musicians from other states, other musicians that run other organizations. For instance, I spoke to a young lady, her name was Amanda, that runs another organization for disabled musicians. I spoke to venue owners and studio owners and producers, and there's a lot of, man, I wish things could be like. Man, I wish things could be like. So as an artist, man, I wish we could, you know, as with you being a studio owner, I wish we could have a better open dialogue like what we're having right now, just on a normal basis. Or talking to bar owners, they're like, yeah, I want a stage, but you know, the licensing and, you know, there's not a lot of people that want to go and play this and that. And, you know, there's a lot of legal needs behind that. And so at the NAMM show, there is a lot of how can we make this easier? And with NAMM is great because it's how can we make this easier on a worldwide level? How can we make this easier on a national level? And how can we make it easier in your local levels? What, you know, talking to national musicians, hey, what can I do to make my job easier locally? Because in order to be a national artist, you have to be a local artist first. And, you know, they'll kind of just pour wisdom into you and things like that. And so when networking, you get a lot of that conversation, a lot of that dialogue in. And so I would challenge anybody, if you are a store, I know Darren Williamson goes out there and they got a award this year, if I'm not mistaken, through the NAMM show. But yeah, if you're a music store, if you're an artist, if you're a venue owner, if you are a videographer, even if you're a photographer, if you can, try to make it out there one way or another.
I definitely want to go.
Yeah,
Next year, I'm going to go.
If it is not, and there's a misconception that is by invite only, that is not true. You can fly out there, you can pay to go for the entire weekend, and you don't have to necessarily have any business out there as much as, you know, just brushing shoulders with people, meeting the right people. And the one thing about the NAMM show, people are so friendly. You realize that everybody's on the same playing field. And even some of the big guys that are nationwide artists.
Yeah, they
and stuff
started
like that.
somewhere.
Yeah, and they will, some of the conversations I've had with some of these national touring acts and people that are friends of mine now
Right.
that are on the DW roster and things like that. Some of those guys are so willing to pour into you and so willing to give you wisdom and so willing to just give you their knowledge. And so with that being said, they all just want to see all of us succeed, and we want to see all of us succeed, which is again why I'm doing that album. I'm having a little bit of success. I want to see everybody else succeed, so let's get as many people on board as possible. With those other drummers, yeah, man, I'll put a good word in for you because I want to see you succeed. Or hey, give this person a call and talk to them about doing this because I want to see you succeed, and different things such as.
So, with being on the panel, I'm sure there was question and answers at the end. What kind of
Yes.
questions did you get?
The one cool question that I got specifically for disabilities, and I think it was more of a comment than a question. There was a young man there, I cannot remember his name, but I stated something about disabilities of all types, and the question slash comment was more about the disabilities you don't see or that aren't like mobility disabilities, and it made me realize there's a lot of different disabilities out there that people rather don't pay attention to or that we don't recognize daily. So yes, I have cerebral palsy, and when you see me walk, you know that there's CP. But the gentleman that was specifically asking this found out later in life that he has ADHD. And for anybody that knows my son, he also has ADHD, and I never really looked at it as a disability until I realized, hey, this really affects his daily life. You know what I mean? He has to do different things and cope in different ways to be able to just live life, you know? And that gentleman, great musician, saw some things from him playing, and me and him were talking about those invisible disabilities. So with that being said, there's things like depression and anxiety, a big disability that I don't feel like we talk about enough, especially in the music community. One of the things about being an artist is
You have to be depressed as shit
you
to
really
make
do.
some good music.
You do. Or anxiety is
Yeah.
tied to our music. Oh my God, are people going to like this? And then
Right.
if they don't like it, that's where the depression comes
Yeah.
in. Or ADHD, where you have this idea of what you want to get done, but you don't get it done because there's 30 other things that just ran through your head. There are guys that are veterans that are musicians. There's a young man, he will remain unnamed, that lives in Kansas and got a hold of me. He is a combat veteran and wanted to learn how to play guitar to get a good coping mechanism for his PTSD, which, you know, I'm thinking to myself, man, I really never realized that there are musicians out here that serve, and I know musicians.
There's actually a program here in Springfield for veterans and guitars.
And see, that's
Yeah.
one of those things that I feel like we don't talk about enough. You know what I mean? We don't, and on a local level and on a national level, we don't talk about we talk about the obvious disabilities. You know, a drummer with cerebral palsy that, from what I've told, plays like everybody, from what I've been told, plays like everybody else. That's an obvious thing. But what about the guy that's dealing with OCD? What about the woman that's running an organization with a TBI? What about the people that are amputees from war and stuff like that? We don't think about these things, thinking, you know, there's so much we could do to help them grow, and through helping them grow, we then help ourselves grow. And so that was not only a question on what, you know, how do I feel like we could get that word out, but it's also a thought that really got me thinking of what more on a local level, on a national level, on a world level, with my videos and different things like that, can I do to support everybody with any type of disability from any walk of life, regardless on if you see it or not. So that there was probably the most interesting question and comment and bit of dialogue that I got. And the cool thing is he asked a question, but I was the one that got my mind open to it.
So what can you say that you took from there this time around?
What I took from NAMM this
Yeah.
time, you know, any trip now that I go to, I come back with a full gas tank. And what I mean there is when you kind of get stuck in what you do, it's sometimes hard to think outside of that and see outside of that just because it's your daily routine, day in and day out. When go and speak on something that is that broad of a spectrum from people that otherwise I'm not gonna meet, I'm not gonna see, and things like that, I come back with a new drive and determination to keep going. For instance, in the crowd was Greg Bissonette. Greg Bissonette is on tour. Well, I don't know if he's on tour right now, but has been touring with Ringo Starr. So when you have the Beatles drummer sitting there listening to you speak, that lets you know what, I'm doing something right. I need to not only keep going, but I need to figure out how to make this thing bigger and better. You know what I mean? And so it when I went to PASIC and spoke at that panel, it filled me up with drive and determination. Like, oh my God, I finally got this far. I got to push harder and keep going. Then that ended up turning to me being on their drum set committee, which then gave me more drive and determination to keep doing what I was doing, which then gave me this opportunity to go speak at this panel, which then came home, gave me more drive and determination and more even ideas of, okay, what can I do to continue to make my content creation and my brand, if you will, bigger and better, which leads to ideas like doing more drum clinics in town and doing a regional clinic tour and doing series specific videos and different things like that. And so the way I see it is, if you go to something that big and you don't leave more driven than ever and more refreshed than ever to, for lack of better terms, just go harder in the paint than you were before, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's my biggest takeaway is flying home. I was exhausted physically, but I was juiced emotionally and mentally and was ready to get to work. And since then, that's pretty much what I've been doing is let's plan out what to do this next year. And when it starts warming up and staying warm, then execute.
That is awesome. Well, it sounds like you had an amazing time.
I did.
And
I did,
I'm sure you're going back next year.
Yeah, being made. From what I understand, and nothing's written in stone yet since we just got back, but keep your fingers crossed. Be doing the panel maybe yearly, and this year was speaking. Next year should be playing as well. Wow. And
That's so awesome.
That's up to the organizers of NAMM because everything has to be backlined, and so need to make sure the room is secure, instruments are secure, and all that stuff. But don't give me a drum set at the NAMM show and say, hey, go ahead and play a couple things because I'm going to tear that stage apart. I promise you that.
Well, that sounds so fun. So tell me what you have going on now. What's going on in your life here at the studio?
So, of course, content creation, because doing these drumming videos is really what made all of this take off. So there's no way that I can ever stop that now. But outside of the drumming videos, we have the album that I alluded to earlier. And what that project is so basically I'm the constant and everybody else is variable. Every song I want a different set of musicians on. And all of these musicians are people that have been seen through on the scene. Tavish Lawson, AJ Holmes, who was the drummer for the bass player for Sequel Dose at one point, and has played drums with Pearl, and that list goes on and on.
So you have a lot of local people.
I'm trying to get a lot of local guys in on it, but also there's a lot of guys around the country that have jumped in on it. From the Chicago area, I may be having some guys in the LA area jump in on it. Maybe having some guys in the Nashville area jump on it. And so I want the project to be a thank you to the people that I've written music with, that have supported me, that have cheered me on, that have kind of put me on their shoulders and used that as a launching point. And one of the things that I am very, big about is I don't want the hands that fed me to feel like they've been bitten. And so I want to make sure that if my name continues to rise, that I can pull some of these guys up with me. We've been working on this work project's been worked on for a year, and still being worked on. But if I release it, I want to do it right. I don't want to do it right now, you know. And so
It takes time. Good things take time.
it takes time to get it
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm 9 songs in. I would like to be about 12 to 15. Have had conversations with Tavish is one of them. My guy Vincent that I was in the Kidders with is potentially working on some stuff, and a lot of other folks that are helping, that are working on things for this project. So when will that be released? When it's ready.
When it's ready.
When it's ready.
When it's ready. So
But it is.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on his page, Handidrummer.
Handidrummer on. If you Google Handidrummer or Darren Williams Jr., just about all of my socials will pop up. Also, not locally but nationally, I have put in an application to be a presenter drum clinician at the Percussive Art Society International Convention, which is where I did the first panel a couple years back, which is that would be a career making accomplishment, because the guys that do these drum clinics are rock stars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so to say that I was able to do a drum clinic at PASIC, you know, I would say it don't get no better than that, but every time I say that, it gets better. So that's one thing that I'm hoping goes through. We'll know probably closer to the fall. Let's see, the convention's in mid-November, so we'll know around September or October if that goes through. So keep your fingers crossed that that goes through and that I put in a good proposal. Other than that, and the album, my main focus is I really want to get out in front of the people. I really want to get out and not only play my drums, but I realized from NAMM that I have something to say, and when I talk, people listen. Which is a dangerous thing, but it's a good thing as well if I say something that people feel is passed on wisdom and knowledge. So I really want to get out. I really want to do some drum clinics, but I don't want them to be drum clinics. I more or less want them to be like TED Talks with my drums, with people that aren't drummers that, you know, just want to come and hear something that may be inspiring to them or fill them full of positivity that they may not otherwise get. And so those speaking engagements are on the list. The album's on the list. I'm going to PASIC regardless because I have to do drum set committee business, but hoping that I'll be presenting there as well. Currently, I have a 3-video series running through the Percussive Art Society classroom on individuality as a musician. So I'm a busy man, and that's outside of raising a 6-year-old that, if you guys know me, we all know and love.
Yes, Trey is great. Trey is great.
Just don't tell him that because he will agree. But yep, that's life. So at the moment, and
Well,
it's a beautiful thing.
it sounds amazing. I mean, you're always doing something new. Every time we talk to you, it's something big has happened, and
With
yes.
no sleep. No, I'm just kidding. Gotta sleep. Make sure you get rest and make sure you stay hydrated. This is coffee, though.
Yeah, look, guys. I mean, this is a cool merch thing. Can people buy that on your store?
No, this was custom made. And here's what I'll do. This was custom made from somebody. You have to put this in the video. So there's my logo. And then there's that. If you know, you know. It's just,
That's
if
what
you
it
know,
is.
you know.
That's what it is. Well, it's been really cool talking to you again.
I love
I
you.
mean,
Thank you so much.
you're one of my best friends. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's been so cool hearing about your NAMM trip. I can't wait to see what else happens for you this year.
Me too.
It's so exciting.
It's awesome. And I must say as well, thank you for having me for the 3rd time. If it's not for On the Scene, I feel like there's a lot of people that I wouldn't reach because of the following and the demographic that you guys have as viewers and watchers and that you stay in contact with. to say that I have been here. I've been interviewed by KY3. I've been interviewed by MSU. I've been interviewed by Color 10. But On the Scene is the only entity to interview me 3 times after something big happens. And
We need to keep up with our, our stars here in Springfield.
I just want you to know that means a lot to me as an artist. And if you're watching, support On the Scene. They are so hyper focused on making the musicians' life easier, the venues' lives easier, and it don't take much on your end, and it takes a whole hell of a lot on their end. So make sure you support.
Well, thank you. Well, guys, make sure to check his pages out. Like you said, you could just Google
Google
or-
Handidrummer, HANDI drummer, or Darren Williams Jr., but you got to spell my name right, DARREN. You can go on Facebook, look up Handidrummer. If you're on Instagram, DW_the_Handidrummer.
Wow, that's a lot.
Somebody already had Handidrummer.
Damn it!
I know. They're not even using the page.
You should contact them. Like, hey.
Yeah, they haven't even used the page. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Well, thank you again, Darren. We can't wait for
Absolutely.
our next interview with you.
So number 4 is happening somewhere.
Number 4.
All right.
Sometime it's going to come up.
Bet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, make sure to stay safe and come join us out on the scene.